You're listening to Speaking Stellar Girl with Terry Tkachuk, an interview series that inspires women to live their most stellar life. Terry is the co-founder of the Stellar Girl movement, and she is sitting down with women all over the world to hear about the key moments in their lives and how they live boldly, compassionately, and ultimately became a stellar girl.
Welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl. I'm your host, Terry Tkachuk, and I am thrilled to have Lillian Babaian joining me today. Lillian is a full-time content creator in the fashion and beauty space. She has been in the social media scene for over 7 years and shares her hair and makeup tutorials, stylish fashion finds, and yes, she tosses in her favorite recipes and her love for coffee. I've had like 3 cups today. Lillian has been featured on Access Hollywood for her short form video content and was able to turn a part-time hobby into a full-time career. So welcome, Lillian, to Speaking Stellar Girl. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited myself.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to let you know that we are celebrating you. And we also, it's our 50th Stellar Girl, Speaking Stellar Girl podcast. So this is great. I'm thrilled that you are our 50th guest. Absolutely.
I'm honored. I'm so excited and very honored.
Well, thank you. So you're wearing your favorite color for this season, because I've been, stalking you for, a good year now. So, your love for fashion is, obviously it's what you share a lot of. Your hair and makeup tutorials you are famous for, and your voice as well. I think you need to promote yourself. Your manager needs to get you into Disney, and you should absolutely do voiceover.
Well, I don't know if I ever shared this with you. It's funny because my first job ever after high school, I actually worked for the Disney studios, and we did charity work for people filming in the actual studios. So we would have Pirates of the Caribbean filming at the time, Grey's Anatomy, all like Desperate Housewives. So everybody from the animation building would come over, and the first thing they would say is, Lillian, can you either leave a voicemail speaking on my behalf, or can you come and do a movie? And I would always laugh. So it's interesting that you say that, because it's the first thing that they told me when I was 18.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's talent, and it's rare. And so use it. I think we need to get you an agent to get you, some voiceover work for sure, just to add to the gazillion of other things that you already do. So
let's do it.
So 7 years ago, you started on Instagram and writing blogs. And then now you have, you're well over 200,000 followers. You have an authentic following, and you share what you love, what you're passionate about, versus what maybe someone else is trying to get through to you. And I love that about influencers that are so real and so authentic. So how did you get started?
So I thought my whole life I'd be criminal DA. I love being a lawyer. I love law. So that was the one thing I thought I was going to do, and I was meant to do. And then at about 19 years old, when I was in community college getting ready to transfer because I wanted to go to USC, I decided to take an impromptu trip to FITM. And I told my mom, I love fashion. Let's just go for fun and see how it is.
Okay.
When we went, in 24 hours, I 360 changed my whole life. I said, Mom, we're going to FITM. This is it. This is what I'm meant to do. And all the lawyers that I met, not that I don't love what they do, because I'm very passionate about law, I couldn't see myself sitting in a room for 18 hours and just reading contracts and studying and having no people connection. I needed something more where I was just always involved with everybody else. Went to FITM 2 years, got a degree in merchandise product development. And then for merchandise product development, I got hired at Guess. And at the time, Guess, BB, BCBG, and American Apparel were the top 4 corporate companies hiring out of downtown LA.
Okay.
So they had 900 interns. Out of 900 interns, 40 got hired. 3 came on full time. So I was one of them when I went back to school to do my degree in business management. Wow. And then worked full time, went to school full time. I've got this whole bio down.
Okay, go.
So I was the youngest one there. I was 20. And then I think what I started off, it was probably one of the most scariest and intimidating worlds ever. We would be in the design world. Marciano brothers would walk in. Paul and Maurice Marciano were this prestige, the way that they would walk in, they just knew that they had a like $1 million business all over the world. Like this is like 10 years ago.
Yes.
And then my boss taught me everything I knew at the time. And she was very adamant about me going to school and coming back to work. So she would teach me. And I think I was fascinated to see something drawn on a piece of paper and then somebody wearing it a year later. And the process that goes beyond like how you make it, what you can't make it, the markups, the buyers, and all of that. But what I did not like was I was designing, as a designer, you kind of have to put the hat on of that person. So I was designing as if I was the guest customer. It wasn't necessarily what I was wearing. And then I didn't think too much of it. This is at the time when Pinterest and blogging had just started and people didn't know much about it. I got hired at a company that was doing private label brands for 9 department stores. From Dillard's to Macy's to Nordstrom to Bloomingdale's, Target, Walmart, you name it. We would be contracted to do different collections. And at that time, I felt like a machine because we were pumping out 150 pieces a month. It was, we need this, and all of that. And at the time I was thinking Dillard's is very Midwest. Like the Dillard's customer wasn't shopping what Neiman Marcus customer was shopping.
Absolutely.
So you have to wear a different hat for everybody. And I think at that time I realized I love what I do. I just want to share what I like because I might not wear this turtleneck from the Midwest, or I don't think this is from Neiman Marcus is really my price point either. That's kind of how the Instagram was born. My mom would take my pictures outside, up on a suburban area. There would be trash cans in the background. If I show you, I never want to look back. That's how mortifying that my would start it.
No, you need to start somewhere. It's your journey. It's your story. So you need to do one of those tags on the stories that says post a picture from like 10 years ago in front of the trash can.
Oh, God,
and have everyone
so mortifying.
Do it.
So at the time, nobody really knew what we were doing. So it was kind of like, what are you doing on the side? I don't understand. Why would you take pictures and why would you share? And at the time we had no Instagram stories. So it was just picture and that was it. No video even. And then Snapchat was just for my friends and family. So that was the way that I would take pictures of my outfits and kind of share what I was wearing. I remember the first gifted item was a pack of 3 bracelets. I probably was screaming from excitement.
Of course.
Oh my God. Free bracelets? Me? Like, this is not happening. And then I think
and now your content is on Access Hollywood. Like, rewind.
Honestly, sometimes I have to like pinch myself physically to be like, this is real. Like, you actually can call this a job.
Yes.
The cool part is social media evolved so fast that in the last 10 years, nobody could even see how much influence even social media has and how much money people are putting into marketing and how much the industry has changed. And because I had an industry background, I kind of went into treating it as more of a business and a brand than a lot of other people. It wasn't for me about fame. It was kind of building something that was a relationship and a community with people that really trusted what I liked and what I loved. And it was more about having that authentic relationship than kind of like, oh, she's Instagram famous. That wasn't my intent. And then,
but you're now.
I'm gonna blush to camera. Good. And then I remember, I can't believe I'm admitting this. I admitted this on air the other day too. I remember calling out of work for calling in sick from Miami Swim Week. And it was a 3-hour difference. So it was an opportunity I couldn't miss. And at the time I was 50% in, like my foot was in halfway through the blogging, halfway into like the corporate world. I was running out of energy. This is about like 3.5, almost 4 years ago, where I didn't know where to go. And it was kind of like, do I stop? Do I not? I had already earned the designer title. And in the designing world, it goes intern, design intern, assistant designer, associate designer, like all the way to designer and senior designer is where you want to be before you become a director. So I said, I've already gotten here. This is the title. If I was to go back in my 40s or 50s, I can always do it. Can I always do this? I don't know. Like the energy I have now to pump out all the content. Miami Swim Week, we're 3 hours ahead. I'm thinking it's 11 o'clock in Miami, 8 o'clock. And I tell my boss, I don't feel well. I have to call out.
Oh, that's a big deal. Miami Swim Week's big.
And then on Monday, when I got back, I told now my husband, Romel, if the fact that I called out to take a risk out of a secure job convinced me, like, this is something I need to put on hold and I need to take the risk to do this.
Yes.
Because I would have never done that before. And then I took a risk.
Okay.
Of course, it was calculated risk. I kind of like been saving for it for a little bit because at the beginning, it's a world where your business thrives the more you put into it. That's the best way I can explain to it.
Of course.
So the more time and the more effort and the more community you build, there is no ceiling. Like you could do more and more, but the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. There isn't, and you have to be very like, everybody says the blogging world is so easy, or sometimes it's because Instagram portrays like 5% of it, let's say. You have to be very self-diligent and motivated to do it. So I can wake up at 11 or I can wake up at 6 a.m. Like it's up to you kind of a business.
Yes.
When I quit, I remember sitting down and freaking out, telling my husband, like, what are we going to do if we get married? I don't have a steady income. I don't know what we're going to do. And then he's like, listen, and he kind of started with me in the beginning, but he got more and more involved as we started becoming in the relationship. And he's like, this is something where you've connected with people in London, all over the world, you wouldn't have access to. I think you need to take this risk. And then worst case scenario, you have 10 years of design background. You can always go back and do something else.
Yeah.
So it's not like you don't have an education or work experience. I said, okay.
Yeah. I love this story. And here you are, like, I mean, I love your journey, and everyone has one to share and tell. And all of, there's young girls out there on Instagram who want to do this as a job, and they have no idea about how it starts and how much work it actually takes. I mean, I was so late to the party, but holy cow, what you guys do is so much work and so much time, and the prep and then the organizing. And thank goodness, you have a manager now, obviously, and she's able to negotiate and help you out, but you do everything yourself. Everything.
I think the reason why I ended up having to have a management, because what happens when it gets complicated, when you're treating it as a business,
right?
When brands ask for whitelisting, exclusivity, ad usage, and certain things in certain contracts start to overlap, where if you're working, and I'm very, very particular with who I take on.
Of course.
Like I've turned down, there was an opportunity that they emailed me. They knocked on my door like maybe 4 times, once every month, because they wanted me to color my hair. And I kept telling my manager, I'm like, there is no way. It doesn't matter if it's $5 or $1 million. I personally won't color my hair.
Okay.
Or it's the same way with Keurig and Nespresso. If anybody watches my Instagram stories, they know my love relationship with my Nespresso machine.
Yes.
So for me to do an ad for Keurig doesn't seem authentic, because I don't own one and I don't see it as me using one, because I love my Nespresso so much.
And it's a little watered down, and no judgment on Keurig users whatsoever.
No. Anybody that's a coffee drinker is my favorite, is my friend. But I just meant like as far as like authentic business part of it, there are certain things I couldn't manage where she takes on that. Where now the hardest part now, I think in the last 3 years with TikTok coming along, everybody expects more content and they want you to spend more and more time on each social media platform. Instagram just keeps evolving and evolving. Instagram wants, let's say, Instagram stories, videos, reels, lives, comments, engagement, DMs. And then YouTube wants short form video. Now Pinterest wants short form video. So I think the beauty of this world is never ending and learning how to diversify. But of course, it comes with learning how to manage your time, having a good team, and then support system.
Of course. And because you're on all of the platforms, like every single one, right? So obviously you can repurpose your content to fit that particular audience, but how do you prioritize? Let me ask you, like, what is the most important for you? And I don't want you to offend your TikTok or your Instagram followers or your Pinterest followers, because that's not what this is about. This is just about, like, where do you see yourself developing your brand the best on which platform?
So I guess the way I can differentiate it right now, my top 3, once the website launched, that will be my top 3. But if we're thinking right now, it's Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest.
Yes.
Are my top 3. I'm going to explore more of YouTube in 2022. TikTok to me is more raw and authentic. If I'm talking to the camera and I'm telling someone, you have to have this mascara, you need to go buy it, I think that is more personal. Okay. Instagram is still a little bit more curated, but Instagram focus on teaching someone something. whether on my Instagram stories, on my photos, or my videos. I want someone to leave my platform always feeling good about themselves. And I think the downfall about that for me in the last 2 years has been I don't share the vulnerabilities as much, because I've had I don't want to say a hard time, because I've had a very fortunate childhood with my parents, but I've had my hardships and struggles of certain things that have been out of control, or things you've had to overcome, where sometimes when it rains, it pours. And because I feel like people come to social media to escape, I've had to try to find a way to still be a positive source, not in the sense of complaining and nagging, but also tell them that, hey, I'm also human. I'm also real. This is what's going on. So I think for me with Instagram, it's always been like a place to share value. On Pinterest, what I've learned is more of an evergreen platform.
Okay.
It's content that's educational, because someone today or tomorrow can still look for a latte recipe, and your content that you posted a year ago is still you're able to find it with their algorithm.
Right.
With Instagram, they're trying now to be like that. But with Instagram, if I posted something 8 months ago, the chances of you scrolling down my feed to look for my blowout routine from 8 months ago are very slim to none.
Right.
So I think it depends on those 3 platforms that I've been really focusing on. And then each audience is also very different.
Of course.
TikTok is very young.
Yes.
Like they don't want anything filtered. They want to see how you look. The messier you look, the more real you look, the better it is.
So I need to show up in
Instagram,
pajamas?
Oh, you can. No, I'm telling you, some of the best TikToks are filmed in absolute worst lighting, and they may have 30 million views because she just speaks from the heart, and I think that audience can tell. Instagram and Pinterest, I think about the same demographic, like 18 to 44, maybe, if not older. But people are more millennial on those two than it's Gen Z on Snapchat and TikTok.
Of course. Yes. And they're so confusing, because like my kids have, Snapchat. I'm like, oh, I can't do Snapchat. I can't figure it out. Everything goes away. There's what's the blue light against the purple light. I'm just done. I'm done with Snapchat.
It's interesting because I never realized how much Gen Z uses Snapchat.
Yeah.
I stopped using it 3 years ago. And then now that I'm back on it, I'm like, wait, there's people that still are on this every day. Like how many people are using it? And they have millions of active users on the daily. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So now when they told me that, I was blown away.
So do you schedule like screen away time? Like, do you ever like go, okay, or you just like, this is so comfortable for me that it doesn't bother me, like it doesn't affect you to be on it and share and watch constantly? Like for me, like sometimes I'm like, I got to put this away. Like I have to, it's like my kids, I have to put their stuff away. So to be able to focus on what's in front of me and enjoying the moment instead of always taking a photo.
So I think for me, on a daily basis, 5 times a week, working out is my hour screen time, hour and a half away, where I don't answer any DMs. My phone goes into a locker room where I can't even see it if someone calls or texts me. I think that's my 1 hour of completely away from it. And then during the week, well, right now it's crazy because it's the holiday season.
Right.
During the week, I try to make it a point where like Romal, dinner once time, phones down, or one movie, no interruption.
Right.
But it's so hard because when you're so passionate about it, when I'm watching a movie, it's very easy for me to pick up my phone. Okay, I'm going to answer 10 DMs right now. Yeah. So I think it depends. It's obviously a constant battle and challenge, but I make it a point to be like, hey, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm behind. I need like a day, and I just turn off.
Yeah. Right. And you do it. You go on stories and tell that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like,
are you okay? I know. I haven't seen you in the past 3 hours. Are you okay? I know. It's hilarious, but it's fun how much they care and they want to see, like, because they're always checking in. And if you follow the same people and watch their stories, I mean, that's who pops up at the top. So I don't know. The algorithm's so crazy to me. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I made the best video ever. I'm like, oh, and then I made that video, and it's so different how things.
Oh, my most hated videos are viral, and the ones I absolutely love have very minimal views. It's so funny how that works. Yeah. And I think it's because the ones with I can't crack it. When we figure out the Instagram algorithm, we'll let you know. But I think the videos that are the most effortless too, people can somehow tell. It's like an iPhone photo and a camera photo. People sometimes like the really blurry at night camera iPhone photo, right? Because it shows you exactly where you are, how you look, what you're doing, rather than you got up to shoot this creative content.
Okay.
So I guess it's finding a balance of what really works.
Yeah. So we at Stellar Girl, we've talked about this before because we've had a couple conversations before. We've done a live, but we always talk about the fun that's missing in our lives. We work. But you have so much fun, and that is why one of the reasons I love watching you, because you enjoy what you do. You're very, very passionate about it, and you're very, very good about it. Your aesthetics are incredible. But you enjoy your life. Like you go on date night with your husband, Romel. You guys you have weddings and parties, and oh my gosh, the birthday celebrations that you guys have. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you celebrate and then celebrate and then celebrate. And I'm like, this is fun. Like you enjoy every single second. And I think so many women out there are, whether they're moms, whether they're career driven, whatever type of career they're in, teachers, lawyers, doctors, they forget about the fun and don't worry about the mess. And you're like, this is my life. Like I love my life.
Well, it's funny you say that because I think I get that from my dad more than my mom. My mom is a lot more reserved and calculated. My dad is very last minute, let's do this. It's like sometimes he's made growing up like these crazy decisions of like, we're going to buy this like collectible car. And then we're looking at him, wait, we are? Like how? What? No. Are you crazy? And then he's like, no, we're doing it. We're doing it today. Even the house that my parents bought, we walked in and he's like, that's it. Let's call escrow. We're doing it. My mom's looking at my dad. Are you serious right now? Is this happening?
Yeah.
And I think it's because even with jobs, he's always been an entrepreneur. He's always worked for himself. He's always believed in taking a risk and kind of like doing your own thing instead of working for someone else. And he's always taught me like to enjoy the small things in life. And granted, it comes with being, of course, careful and calculated. Whereas my husband now, which makes sense, he's also more, his personality is like my mom's, where he's more reserved and he's more calculated. And I'll be like, come on, we have one life to live. Let's just pick up and go to Sedona. And he's like, okay. He always says yes. But I'm always thinking outside the box because for me, it's at the end of the day, when you look back, it's the memories that matter.
Of course.
It doesn't matter how much money, it doesn't matter how much material. I don't think that defines happiness. Although, the quote that used to hang in my room, it said, whoever said money can't buy happiness doesn't know where to go shopping, but we're going to get back to that.
That's true.
I just think life is full. I guess I've seen my parents go from their ups to their downs to their extreme. And then as long as they've been together and we've had a good relationship, we figured it out. And even if it's the smallest thing where you take one quick trip to us, it's Palm Springs to the desert where you spend one day away. I think those memories are what keeps you young, happy, like content, and you're more driven and motivated to keep on going about your life because it's so easy for us to get stuck in this like comfort zone of we can't spend money, we need to save, or this is what it is, or Monday through Friday routine. And the older we get, of course, the more calculated and more responsible we become because then kids come into play, mortgage comes into play, and X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. But I think I realized when I look back, I said, I want to remember things. Like I want to be able to live a life to the fullest because what's the point of me becoming this like, we're gonna envision and manifest right now. But what's the point of me becoming this like person with like a millionaire if I haven't lived a life for it?
Right, of course. Oh my gosh, and that is the Stellar Girl mindset that we talk so much about because I've so many girls and women out there that they don't have that mindset. They just either work or don't enjoy or else are the opposite where they're just they want things to come to them without working for it. And
that's very interesting. I totally cut you off. It's so interesting that you said that because I have personal friends too that I don't want to say they envy a life outside of their own lives, but they want things that come easy to them because they see somebody else. But the problem with that is that I don't think people realize is you see, for example, me right now where I am currently. Mm-hmm. I also took like 12 years to get where I am now to call this a full-time job. Mm-hmm. But what people don't realize is you're in control. I think as I've gotten older, I've realized I'm so very dependent on like reading, like hobbies become like to learn more.
Right.
And the reason why I mentioned that is because people are in charge of their lives. And I think a lot of people don't think about that because they don't want to take responsibility for their own lives. So for me, we live in a world where there's so much abundance of access to hundreds of resources that my mom didn't have, let's say 30 years ago.
Of course.
So the internet is at your fingertips, or your phone, or all these like resources. It doesn't take money to want to read a book or learn more about yourself, or to take the time. Let's say a gym membership costs money, then you could go running outside, or you could YouTube a video.
Yes.
There's so many different things, but I think people don't want to take the responsibility, and people have gotten lazier and lazier as well. And they just want, I don't say things handed to them, but the reward is more enticing for them than the hard work. And I think people don't realize that they correlate with one another. And I think for me, as I've gotten older, I realized everything is how much you put time into it. Working out, of course, sometimes I'm like, I don't have 2 hours to go to the gym right now. There's no way I can work out, but I'm like, I have to go. I have to go. This is something I have to do. So I think people don't, I always say like, we've done this actually ever since we got married. We've been doing a vision board every year, and now that's always towards the end of the year.
Yeah,
we're at like short-term goals, long-term goals, and everything we want to do together and separately.
Okay.
And some of the things will be super simple, like date night once a week. But just because you write it, you see it's a visual manifesting thing. We'll be like, hey, we haven't spent any time together. We've been working like crazy. Let's take 2 hours and actually like have a nice dinner together and talk.
Yes. And talk. Yes, absolutely. Or go to, I mean, what happened to movies? Like everyone used to like do like dinner and a movie, and you just sit there and like no one's on their phones and you zone out. Like I loved the movie theater. I'm just kind of sad that no one goes to the movies anymore. We used to go all the time. Like we used to go to hang out, and I don't know. I missed that.
Well, Mel and I used to do the movies every 3 weeks. Like that was our thing. Movie and a dinner. We used, because he loved movies.
Yeah.
He still loves really movies all the time. So like, well, now obviously it's a little bit different, but he loves movies. So for him, it was always like a kind of finding something you enjoy together and you do it. But it goes with everything. Like you don't have to be married to enjoy your life either. No. You have to work on yourself. That's like, I think a lot of people that don't, it's easier to be on your phone and scroll and see everybody else than to put that down and focus inwards more than outwards.
100%. And I'm like you, like I need that for me, it's 45 minutes. It used to be an hour and a half to get to the gym and to get my sweat on. It's like, that's my medicine. I feel like, like some sort of movement, like every single day, even if I don't, work out like a crazy person every day of the week, you have to have that movement and that walk and that healthy lifestyle, even more now, more than ever, 100%. Like people just, they're like, oh, well, I want to look this certain way, or I want to lose weight, but they don't actually go out and do it. And back to your point of people not actually, they want it handed to them. Well, there's no magic pill for anything in this world. You have to work towards it.
Even like health-wise, like don't take it for granted. Like eat healthy, or I'm not saying go on a crazy diet.
No,
like,
I don't like that word.
Live a balanced lifestyle. You eat greens, then you do carbs. The next day you just maybe. It's all about balance and finding what works for you and what you enjoy, but making point to do it. Yeah.
It's funny. You mentioned the beginning, when you were talking about your bio at the very beginning, that you worked with guests. So back when I was, quite a while ago, but I worked for Bryan Adams, summer of 69. Okay. So he decided he wanted to take up photography, and he was very, very good at it. So when we were managing him, he actually shot a guest campaign. Like in like probably,
and those campaigns were iconic.
Like though, like I remember, like, do you remember, like, it was like the Bridget Bardot look, and it was, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I remember that campaign he shot. I was there with him. And then he shot the Queen of England for a postage stamp. Yeah. So
she's like phenomenal to me. I think she's the most fascinating woman ever. But those guest campaigns,
they were like, iconic.
Yeah. Everybody knew them. You didn't even have to write guests. You knew that campaign was meant for guests.
You knew that blurry sort of, and it was like, it almost feels like the girls washing the car. Like, I don't know if you remember Dukes of Hazzard. Probably not. But there was like Daisy. She used to like wash the car. And that's what like the guests reminded me of. Like she was always like, and it was like this pinup model, right?
With her corsets, with her the gingham print.
Oh my gosh, and the short shorts. I'm like, we need to rock that somehow. Maybe we can be guest models for Halloween one day. That would be fun.
I'm totally up for it. Taking it back, it's such a personal experience. I mean, they taught me everything I know. So it's funny to see that everything comes full circle, and the fact that everybody knew it. So at the time, it was so exciting to work for them because they were so passionate.
Yeah.
And they were a lot bigger in Europe. Like in Italy, especially in Europe, that brand was phenomenal when I was working for them. So it's cool to see like that fashion industry fascinates me till this day. Like it's a very evolving, fast, like paced work.
Yeah.
And like people don't realize how hard it is and how competitive it is.
And
but it's something that's never going anywhere.
No, and I'll relate that back to the music industry because that's where I started and in the rock and roll business. And, you know, and that was so fast paced and go and working 24/7. And back then there was like, I got my first cell phone, I think, when I was starting to work at the company. And I'm just like, and how, you know, no one had access to emails or there wasn't texting. It was like that flip phone with the 3 pushes. And I'm just like, how everything has changed. Now you can audio text someone and everything's so instant. So yeah, we're all evolving, but it is cool to look back then. I'm like, when you were working at Guess, I'm like, I wonder if she was there, like with Adams, like just on set. Like
a funny video that I saw that said, my kids will never appreciate the box behind the TV.
No,
because you know they're all flat screens
right
now.
gosh.
In fact, they were this big.
Yeah, or the 8-track or the cassette or the CDs I still have. Like no one has them. Yeah. I want to keep them. So, you know, someday some movie set might need all my VHS and my cassette tapes one day. We'll see.
No.
So let's end this with what brings, other than, you know, your mood board. Are you looking to travel anywhere, and where do you want to go? Because I want to talk about a little bit of traveling, because we've talked fashion and we haven't really got to hair and makeup. That could be a whole other show, but we can all check you out on your Instagram for all of those tutorials. But where do you want to travel to? Like, I know you guys go away, you go to Palm Springs, but where do you want to go out of the country?
So the next big trip, I think we were aiming to do it this year. Of course, with the pandemic, it's been a little bit more difficult. I definitely want Europe, and I want a big Euro trip. I've already told my husband to prepare to be, I don't know how he's going to manage because he still works, but because he works for a corporate company. So he works the Monday through Friday schedule.
Okay.
But I really want to do, for sure, France, Italy, Greece, Spain, London. And then one point I want to make it to like Australia and Bora Bora, but I think more the Bora Bora Bali area. Europe for now, because I just get fascinated by that culture. Like I like, my aunt still lives in Sweden, and that just Scandinavian culture and the way they are is very, very different than how we are, even fashion related. I think I could probably be in Paris for like a week and think that it's not enough.
Oh yeah, you would need to go for longer, but yeah, absolutely. I
think so. Europe for sure, because the culture I miss, because I'm of course Armenian, and being Armenian in LA, it's still very cultural and it's multicultural, but I still miss the aspect of learning about new cultures and being surrounded by culture. Like Italians are so cultural as well. They're very passionate about food, music.
You would fit right in Italy. Yes.
So I think Italy is for sure like Lake Como, Tuscany. That's like on the goal next.
Capri. Definitely. Well, oh my gosh, I wish we had more time, because I think we could talk for another hour, but I just wanted to say thank you for joining our Stellar Girl community. Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you so much for everything you've done for our platform and for Stellar Girls, and how you support and influence, you know, so many of us out there. And we want to champion you. I just think you're an incredible human, and we adore you here. And so I really appreciate the time you spent with us today.
Well, I adore you. I think you're a boss woman on another level, who has 4 kids, looks this phenomenal, and still runs a business, and is still a wife, businesswoman, entrepreneur, does social media. Like, I don't know how you do it. I'm one person, I could barely take care of my dog. That's so funny.
Oh my gosh, I have a dog.
Oh, let's add that to your resume. I think that you inspire all of us. I think you inspire me to keep going. And I think that's the reason why I like to associate myself and align myself with so many people that are inspiring, because your success, nobody's successful on their own. Like, your success is my success, and vice versa. 100%. And building a company and having that, like, think about how social media is connecting me with you. Like, we're on almost opposite sides of the coast. So for me, it's so phenomenal. And I love and thrive on building those relationships. And so thank you for having me.
Well, I am grateful for you, and thank you again. And we will chat on the other side.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new episodes. To learn more about the Stellar Girl movement, please visit us at stellargirl.com.